Okay, last up we've got the scissors transition. This is a really good challenging exercise and works on multiple aspects of your running pattern. So we're going to be covering ankle joint mobility and flexibility, calf length and the calf muscle's ability to change length and work during movement. We're going to be thinking balance, we're going to be thinking biomechanics of running, all linked into this exercise. And all of the elements of our running start series kind of come into a combined pattern here. So this one is, some of you, if any of you have done any elements of things like Tai Chi or gentle soft style martial arts, there might be a nice bit of continuity here for you because there will be echoes of that, but it's just linked into efficiency of human movement, which is why I'm a big fan of this particular one. Now when you're doing this, we're going to be moving in one direction and then moving back with control. So in terms of demonstrating, I'm going to stand at the end of my mat. I'm going to come into my running stance position to begin with. The hands are going to be on the pelvis to start this exercise. You want to be cushioned and you want to be neutral through your upper body. Now here we're going to try to start with, for the transition phase, to keep our body at the same height and not drift up and down too much. So when it comes into this first sequence, we move forwards, taking weight onto the front leg, rear heel comes up, and then keeping that knee cushioned, we bring the rear leg up and forwards. And once it's up into a tabletop position, we then bring in the knee straightening. So we've got this lift and descent. Dropping back down to where we were, we can then place that hanging leg out in front of us. See if you can keep the rear leg and the body still, so it's going to force you not to overreach. And when it comes to placing the rest of the foot down, keep the pelvis at the same height as you move forwards. And this is where the ankle mobility comes in. So as you transition forwards, don't let the rear heel come up, and you basically go into a bit of a calf stretch at that point. You then transition to the other side. Floating forwards, rear heel comes up, and into that tabletop. Once you're there, it's floating up to engage that knee straightening, dropping back down, and then going into your foot placement. Now once you run out of space or you want to come back, we just hit the reverse button. This is where we get some even better work for strengthening the knee. Foot comes off in reverse, bring your leg back to tabletop. It's then we perform our knee straightening and bending, finding the floor behind you, keeping your body still at this point. Toes moving backwards, you feel that calf stretch kick in, and then we move backwards again. And this is where everything is super slow motion, so we can gauge control in every part of this exercise. Floating up, floating down, and then finding the floor behind you, coming back, up to tabletop, straighten, lift, lower, and continue as much as necessary. Now with the running transition scissors, or the scissors transition, there's all sorts of things which can go wrong. So that's why we really take the pace out of it on this exercise. When you're coming forwards into that initial tabletop phase, this is where you must be very careful that the knee is not misbehaving and buckling inwards. So you can almost allow yourself that little pause before. The knee is pointing the same direction as the foot, the weight is over that foot, and as you bring this rear leg up, you've got that control. Coming up to tabletop, and then when it's straightening, upper body remains neutral, level. You don't want to be leaning off to the side, and then you're bending down so you can reach forwards. Don't overreach. Keep the foot anchored, heel strike, rocking forwards, and then you do your transition. So we've got to try and think about multiple aspects as we're doing this. This is why it's a really good exercise. If you can nail this movement both forward and, more importantly, back as well, don't forget about the backwards direction, because that's really a great technique for improving control and strengthening the knees. Then you're going to mean that you've got those subconscious patterns of movement really dialed in. So you practice consciously to do this movement, and when you become very competent at doing it consciously, you've got far more likelihood of doing it competently when you're not thinking about it, when you're out and about running. So these levels of competence are something which comes back time and time again in Pilates. Master the conscious competence of your movement, and then the subconscious competence will come in due course, and that's what prevents the wear and tear, the strain. So these drills in the running stance series, yes, they're a little bit brought back in, they're a little bit contrived in their movements, they don't reflect every aspect of a natural running cycle, but they critically have the very important aspects of foot and ankle and knee control. And if you can get that dialed in with your conscious competence, then you don't have to think about it when you're out. And that's why I put these ones together. So the running stance series, great drills, and see if you can really be precise on that knee control throughout every single one.